The emergency landing. The crimson warning lights of Outpost Helios cast eerie shadows across Dr. Celine Viridian's face as she monitored the approaching spacecraft's erratic descent. Her bioluminescent skin pulsed with concern, sending ripples of soft blue light through the medical bay's dim interior. "Unidentified vessel, you're coming in too steep," she transmitted, her melodic voice carrying the distinctive harmonics of her Lemurian heritage. "Adjust your vector by 15 degrees. Static crackled across the communication channel before a strained human voice broke through. "Controls unresponsive, primary systems failing, requesting emergency landing clearance." Celine's auxiliary tendrils twisted anxiously as she processed the pilot's vital signs streaming across her biomedical interface. The readings were erratic, suggesting severe system trauma even before impact. She initiated emergency protocols, her skin shifting to urgent amber patterns. "Central, this is medical. Preparing for critical care reception," she announced, activating the bay's stasis field. The pilot's life signs were already fading. Whatever happened in the next few minutes would determine whether he survived. The impact shook the entire outpost. Through the observation window, Celine watched the small transport vessel skid across the landing pad, leaving a trail of sparking debris. Her medical training took over as she rushed to the airlock, environmental suit automatically forming around her crystalline body structure. The ship's hull had cracked like an egg, spilling acrid smoke into the thin atmosphere. Inside the wreckage, she found him, the human pilot slumped over his controls, blood trickling from a gash across his forehead. Her bioluminescence automatically shifted to diagnostic mode, bathing him in soft purple light as she assessed his injuries. "Multiple fractures, internal hemorrhaging, severe concussion," she muttered, her tendrils extending to gather more detailed readings. "You certainly know how to make an entrance, human." His eyes fluttered open briefly, revealing pain-clouded blue irises. Did I stick the landing?" he managed before losing consciousness again. Celine felt an unexpected ripple of amusement pass through her photoreceptors. Humor in the face of death. How very human. She activated her emergency transport field, carefully lifting his broken body. "Let's see if we can keep that spirit of yours alive." Back in Medical Bay, she worked quickly to stabilize him, her tendrils weaving patterns of healing light while conventional human medical protocols ran their course. But his injuries were severe, and his body was responding poorly to standard treatments. She knew there was another way, her people's most closely guarded healing gift. But using it on a human without authorization, the diplomatic implications alone could end her career. And yet, watching his life signs continue to fade, she felt something she hadn't experienced in centuries of medical practice: emotional investment in a patient's survival. "You're not making this easy, are you?" she murmured, checking his latest readings. Her skin rippled with indecision, cycling through shades of purple and blue. The logical choice was to continue with approved protocols and accept whatever outcome followed. But as she studied his face, noting the determination that lingered even in unconsciousness, she made her decision. Her people's gift might be their only chance to save him, and perhaps, to prove that their species could help each other in ways neither had imagined. Celine placed her hand on his chest, feeling the weakening beat of his heart. Her skin began to glow with a soft, pearl-like luminescence. "I hope you're as strong as you seem, James Nash," she whispered, reading his name from the ship's registry. "Because what comes next will require trust from both of us. Trust and treatment." James Nash drifted back to consciousness through layers of sensation, a gentle warmth pulsing through his body, the soft hum of medical equipment, and most strikingly, a melodic bioluminescence that seemed to dance behind his eyelids. "Your neural patterns indicate awareness," a harmonic voice noted. "How's the pain level?" He opened his eyes to find himself in a medical bay unlike any he'd seen before. The walls seemed to breathe with living light, and beside his bed stood the most ethereal being he'd ever encountered. Dr. Celine Viridian's crystalline skin emitted a soft, calming glow that shifted between shades of blue and violet. feel like I should be in more pain," he managed, voice rough. "Given how badly I crashed. Your memory is intact. Good." Celine's auxiliary tendrils waved in what might have been satisfaction. "And yes, you should be in considerably more pain. Conventional treatments weren't sufficient for your injuries." James tried to sit up, but her hand on his chest kept him still. Her touch sent tingles of warmth through his body. "What did you do to me?" "I kept you alive." Her skin pulsed with subtle patterns that seemed to reflect uncertainty. Though the method was somewhat unconventional. Unconventional how? James studied her face, fascinated by how her expressions played out in waves of light beneath her transparent features. Celine's tendrils twisted in what he was beginning to recognize as discomfort. "My species possesses certain biological capabilities. Healing properties that can be shared under specific conditions. I use them to save your life. Without authorization, I'm guessing." He'd spent enough time around medical professionals to recognize guilt, even in an alien. Her skin flickered with surprise. "You're more perceptive than expected." "Yes, the treatment was unauthorized. Our healing gift is not commonly shared with other species." "Why risk it then?" Celine's glow dimmed slightly. "Your injuries were severe. The approved protocols were failing. I made a choice. A choice that could get you in trouble." "Significant trouble," she admitted. "But you're alive to ask these questions, so I stand by my decision." James reached for her hand, surprised by the warm crystalline texture of her skin. "Thank you for taking that risk." A pulse of rosy light rippled through her features. "Yes, well, don't thank me just yet. The treatment isn't complete." "What do you mean?" "Your body accepted the initial healing remarkably well, but the process requires multiple applications to fully repair the damage." She hesitated. "Each treatment creates a stronger connection between healer and patient. It's intimate, by my people's standards." James felt heat rise to his face. "Intimate how?" "The sharing of biological energy requires trust, openness." Her skin shimmered with what might have been embarrassment. "Your consciousness must fully accept mine for the healing to work." "That sounds invasive? Frightening?" Her tendrils curled defensively. "I was going to say intense," he corrected. "But necessary, right?" Celine studied him with glowing eyes that seemed to peer straight into his soul. "Yes. Though you should understand what you're agreeing to. This level of connection, my people rarely share it outside our own kind." James considered her words, aware of how his body already seemed to hum in response to her presence. "Will it hurt?" "No," she said softly. "But you may experience sensations you're unprepared for. Our energies will blend, emotions will transfer. Some patients find it overwhelming. And if I refuse? Then we continue with conventional treatments. Your recovery will be longer, more painful, with no guarantee of full healing." She touched his chest again, and he gasped at the surge of warmth. "But the choice must be yours." James caught her hand before she could withdraw it. "You've already saved my life once. I trust you." Celine's entire body pulsed with light. "Trust," she whispered. "Such a powerful word from someone who barely knows me." "I know enough." He met her glowing gaze steadily. "You risked your position to save a stranger. That tells me something about who you are." Her free tendrils swayed gently, and he felt a wave of what might have been affection wash over him. "Very well. Close your eyes, James Nash. Let me show you how my people heal." As James relaxed back against the bed, Celine placed both hands on his chest. Her bioluminescence intensified, and he felt warmth begin to spread through his body. But this time it was different, not just physical sensation, but something deeper. He could feel her presence at the edges of his consciousness, gentle but unmistakable. Don't fight it, she murmured. Let me in. James exhaled slowly and opened his mind to her healing energy. The connection bloomed between them like a flower opening to sunlight, and he gasped at the intensity of it. Joy, concern, and something deeper flowed from her consciousness to his. Remarkable, Celine breathed. You're accepting the connection so easily. Words failed as the healing bond deepened, filling him with light and warmth and her. In that moment of pure connection, James realized that medicine wasn't the only thing being exchanged between them. And judging by the cascade of colors flowing across Celine's skin, she felt it too. Hidden truths. In the soft glow of her private laboratory, Celine studied the results displayed across her bioscreen with growing amazement. James Nash's cellular response to her healing essence exceeded anything she'd seen in decades of xenobiological research. His genetic structure wasn't just accepting her treatments, it was adapting, evolving in ways that should have been impossible. Computer, run comparative analysis against previous human subjects, she commanded, her tendrils weaving patterns of concern in the air. No previous data available, the system responded. Current subject represents first documented case of human Lemurian biological synchronization. Celine's skin rippled with troubled colors. She hadn't just broken protocol, she'd shattered it completely. Her people had strict rules about sharing their healing gift with other species, rules established after centuries of failed attempts at cross-species treatment. Yet somehow, this human pilot was different. A soft chime interrupted her thoughts. Dr. Viridian, the medical bay's AI announced, patient Nash's vital signs indicate increased activity. He appears to be awakening. Celine quickly encrypted her research data and hurried to the medical bay. She found James attempting to sit up, his movements already showing remarkable improvement from their last session. Easy, she cautioned, reaching his bedside. Your body is still adjusting to the treatments. I feel. He paused, flexing his fingers experimentally. Different. Stronger, but also, more aware. I can sense things I couldn't before. Celine's bioluminescence flickered with concern. What kind of things? Colors, energies. His eyes met hers with unsettling perception. You're worried about something. I can feel it. Her skin pulsed with surprise. This level of empathic connection wasn't supposed to be possible between species. That's unexpected. Is it? James reached for her hand, and she couldn't help responding to the pull between them. Every time you treat me, the connection gets stronger. I can feel you, Celine. Not just during the healing, but all the time now. That shouldn't be happening, she whispered, even as her body resonated with his touch. The effects are meant to be temporary, therapeutic only. But they're not. His thumb traced patterns on her crystalline skin, sending shivers of light cascading through her form. What aren't you telling me? Before she could respond, her biomonitor chimed urgently. Dr. Viridian, incoming priority communication from Central Medical Authority. Celine's entire body dimmed with dread. I have to take this. Celine. James caught her arm as she turned away. Whatever trouble you're in because of me, let me help. She touched his face gently, allowing herself one moment of weakness. Some things can't be helped, James. Some secrets are better left buried. In her office, the holographic form of Director Nerix materialized, his crystalline body structure radiating authoritative patterns. Dr. Viridian, our monitors have detected unauthorized use of profound healing protocols at your station. Explain. Director, I can explain. The human pilot would have died without intervention. You used our most sacred gift on an untested species. Nerix's form pulsed with angry red light. Do you realize what you've risked? His genetic compatibility is remarkable, Celine argued. The results could revolutionize our understanding of cross-species healing. Or expose our greatest vulnerability to the galaxy. Nerix's voice turned cold. Our healing gift is the only thing protecting our species from exploitation. If humans discover its true nature. They're not all like that, Celine protested, thinking of James's unwavering trust. Some might understand. Your judgment is compromised. Nerix's form loomed closer. I can sense the connection you formed with this human. It goes beyond medical bonds, doesn't it? Celine's skin betrayed her with a flush of revealing colors. My personal feelings are irrelevant. They're dangerous, Nerix corrected. The Council is sending a containment team. The human will be placed in stasis until we determine how to proceed. No. The force of her rejection sent ripples through the holographic field. He's done nothing wrong. But you have. Nerix's form began to fade. Containment team arrives in 6 hours. I suggest you use that time to reflect on your duty to your people, Dr. Viridian. When Celine returned to the medical bay, she found James watching her with those two perceptive eyes. They're coming for me, aren't they? How did you? Your colors. He gestured to her troubled skin. I'm starting to understand what they mean. And right now, they're screaming fear. Celine sank into the chair beside his bed, her tendrils drooping with exhaustion. What I've done, it's more complicated than you know. Then help me understand. He took her hand, and she felt his warmth flow through their connection. What is this gift of yours that has everyone so scared? Celine closed her eyes, feeling the weight of centuries of secrets. Our healing ability, it's not just medicine. It's the essence of what we are. When we share it, we don't just heal bodies, we merge life forces, share consciousness. In our history, other species have tried to harvest this ability. That's why it's restricted, James realized. You're protecting yourselves. Yes. And now I've not only shared it with you, but your body has accepted it in ways that should be impossible. She met his gaze. You're changing, James. And that terrifies my people. And you? He squeezed her hand. What does it do to you? The colors in her skin shifted to deep, intimate purples. It makes me feel things I shouldn't. Want things I can't have. Can't. Or shouldn't. James pulled her closer, and she felt their energies reaching for each other instinctively. Because from where I'm sitting, this connection feels right. It's forbidden, she whispered, even as her body hummed with response to his proximity. 6 hours, you said. His other hand came up to trace the patterns of light on her face. That's time enough to make a choice. Your people's rules, or what's growing between us. Celine knew she should pull away, should start preparing for the containment team's arrival. Instead, she found herself leaning into his touch, her colors shifting to match the warmth in his eyes. Sometimes, she was beginning to realize, the most profound healing happened when you broke all the rules. Breaking protocol. Time seemed to flow like liquid crystal in the dimmed medical bay as Celine worked frantically at her console, her fingers dancing across the biocontrols while James watched from his bed. Her skin pulsed with urgent patterns of blue and gold, reflecting both her concentration and growing anxiety. The containment team's shuttle just entered our sector, she reported, her tendrils twisting with nervous energy. We have less than 2 hours now. You should let them take me, James said softly. I'm not worth losing everything you've worked for. Celine's hands stilled on the controls, her entire body flaring with intense emotion. You don't understand what you're worth. She turned to face him, her crystalline features catching the low light. What we've discovered here goes beyond personal feelings. Your compatibility with our healing essence, it could change everything. Or start a war, he countered. Your director wasn't wrong about how some humans might react to this power. She moved to his bedside, her skin shimming with determination. Then help me prove him wrong. Your body hasn't just accepted our healing, it's synthesizing it. Creating its own version of our essence. That's never happened before. James caught her hand, and she gasped at the immediate surge of energy between them. Is that what this is? This constant awareness of you, this pull? Yes. Her free tendrils reached out to caress his face, unable to resist the connection. Your cellular structure has adapted to match our resonance frequency. You're becoming something new, James. Neither fully human nor Lemurian, but a bridge between our species. And that terrifies them. It terrifies me too, she admitted, her colors shifting to vulnerable violet. Not because of what you're becoming, but because of what I feel when we're connected like this. It's stronger than any healing bond I've ever experienced. James pulled her closer, and she felt his consciousness reaching for hers through their strengthened connection. Show me, he whispered. One last time before they come. Show me everything. If I do this, she warned, even as her body responded to his call, there's no going back. The final treatment will complete your transformation. You'll be forever changed. I'm already changed. His hands framed her face, thumbs stroking the luminescent patterns that betrayed her desire. From the moment you saved me, nothing has been the same. Complete it, Celine. Make me understand what we could be together. Her resistance crumbled like stardust. Pressing her forehead to his, she let her essence flow freely into him for the first time, holding nothing back. The connection blazed between them like a newborn sun, their energies merging in ways that defied both science and protocol. James gasped as sensations flooded through him, not just Celine's healing power, but her memories, her hopes, her fears. He saw her people's history through her eyes, understood their desperate need to protect their gift, felt her growing love for him warring with her sense of duty. Celine, he breathed, overwhelmed by the intensity of their bond. I had no idea. No one outside my species has ever experienced this level of connection, she murmured, her skin glowing with unprecedented patterns of gold and rose. What you're feeling, this is who we truly are. Not just healers, but beings of pure energy and emotion. Their shared consciousness expanded, showing him possibilities that took his breath away. Together, they could prove that humans and Lemurians could do more than coexist, they could evolve together, sharing strengths and healing ancient wounds of distrust. The medical bay's alert system shattered their moment of revelation. Containment vessel requesting emergency docking clearance, the AI announced. Authorization codes confirmed. Celine pulled back reluctantly, but the connection between them remained strong. They're here. Then we face them together. James stood, his body now fully healed and humming with shared energy. Show them what we've discovered. Make them understand. It won't be that simple. She moved to the console, her fingers flying over the controls. The Council fears change. They'll want to erase all evidence of what's happened here, including your memories. They can try. He joined her at the console, placing his hand over hers. Through their bond, she felt his unwavering resolve. But some connections can't be erased. The docking bay doors began to cycle open. In moments, the containment team would board the station. Celine looked at James, seeing in him everything she'd ever hoped to achieve in her research, proof that different species could share the most intimate forms of healing, could grow stronger together rather than apart. Whatever happens, she said, her skin pulsing with the intensity of her emotions, know that you've changed more than just yourself. You've changed how I see everything. James pulled her into his arms, their energies swirling together in defiance of every protocol. Then let's show them a change they can't ignore. The containment team's heavy footsteps echoed through the corridor, drawing closer with each moment. But Celine no longer felt fear. Standing in the circle of James's embrace, their shared energy creating patterns of light that had never existed before, she knew they'd already won the most important battle. They'd proven that love could bridge the gap between species, that healing could work both ways, and that some protocols were meant to be broken in service of a greater truth. A new understanding. The containment team burst into the medical bay in a flash of crystalline armor and pulsing emergency lights. Their leader, Commander Vex, halted abruptly at the sight before them. Celine and James stood together, their combined energy creating an aurora of impossible colors that filled the room with shifting patterns of light. "Step away from the human, Dr. Viridian," Vex ordered, his form radiating authoritative red patterns. "This situation is now under Council control." "Look at them, Commander," Celine challenged, her hand firmly entwined with James's. "Really look. Have you ever seen colors like these from any healing bond?" The containment team's weapons lowered slightly as they witnessed the unprecedented display. Through their shared connection, James could feel Celine's determination mixing with his own strength. "This is more than just unauthorized healing," Celine continued. "We've discovered something revolutionary. A true symbiosis between our species." "Impossible," Vex declared, but uncertainty flickered through his crystalline structure. "Humans aren't capable of sustaining our essence." James stepped forward, his skin now carrying a subtle luminescence of its own. "Then how do you explain this?" He held out his free hand, and to everyone's shock, a soft glow emanated from his palm, not quite Lemurian, but something entirely new. By the first light, one of the containment team members whispered. "He's generating essence." "Not generating," Celine corrected. "Synthesizing. His cells have adapted to create their own version of our healing energy. Something that bridges both our species' biological capabilities." Commander Vex's colors shifted to analytical blue. Director Nerix said nothing of this development. "Because he didn't want to believe it was possible," Celine said. "Our people have been so focused on protecting our gift that we never considered it could evolve into something greater through sharing it." Through their bond, James felt Celine's scientific mind racing. "Show them," he encouraged. "Show them everything." Celine stepped into the center of the room, pulling James with her. Their combined energy expanded, filling the space with a demonstration of their discovery. Through the shifting lights, images formed, cellular structures adapting, energy patterns merging, new possibilities blooming. "Our healing gift isn't just about repairing physical damage," Celine explained, her voice carrying the harmony of shared consciousness. "It's about connection, understanding, growth." James's compatibility proves that humans have the potential to do more than just receive our healing, they can help it evolve. "The Council's fears about exploitation are valid," James added, surprising the Lemurians by speaking with traces of their melodic resonance. "But isolation isn't the answer. Together, our species could develop new forms of healing that benefit everyone." Commander Vex studied them intently, his crystalline features reflecting complex calculations. "You realize the political implications of what you're suggesting? The risk? Every medical breakthrough carries risk," Celine countered. "But look at what we risk losing by refusing to explore this possibility." The containment team's colors shifted in silent communication. Finally, Vex spoke again. "My orders were to contain this situation and escort both of you to central authority for processing." Celine's grip on James's hand tightened, but before she could protest, Vex continued. "However, given the unprecedented nature of these developments, I believe the Council needs to witness this directly." "You're not going to suppress the discovery?" Celine's skin pulsed with cautious hope. "That option died the moment we saw your combined resonance," Vex admitted. "This goes beyond protocol now. The Council must decide how to proceed." James felt Celine's relief flood through their connection, mixed with lingering concern. "And until then?" "Until then, you both remain here under observation." Vex's form softened slightly. "Continue your research, Dr. Viridian. Document everything. The Council will want detailed evidence of this evolution." As the containment team withdrew to secure the station's perimeter, Celine turned to James. Her skin shimmered with a complex mix of emotions that he could now read as clearly as human expressions. "It's not over," she warned. "The Council may still decide we're too dangerous to continue. James cradled her crystalline face in his hands, watching how his touch created ripples of light beneath her surface. They can try to stop us. But you can't put evolution back in a box. No, she agreed, her tendrils wrapping around him possessively. Some changes are permanent. Through their bond, they shared the knowledge that they'd already won the most important victory. They'd proven that love could transcend biological barriers, that healing could flow both ways, and that sometimes the greatest discoveries came from breaking all the rules. In the privacy of the medical bay, their combined energy created new patterns of light, a visual symphony of what was possible when two species dared to trust, to connect, to evolve together. The council would debate, protocols would be rewritten, but nothing could undo the transformation they'd begun. So, James murmured, pulling her closer as their energies danced together, "What's next for your research, Doctor?" Celine's skin rippled with mischievous colors. "Well, we still haven't fully documented all the effects of our connection. In the interest of science, of course." "Of course," he agreed, grinning as their shared essence created another impossible aurora. "We wouldn't want to overlook any important data." As they sealed their commitment to further research, with a kiss that sent cascades of light throughout the medical bay, both knew they were writing a new chapter not just in their own story, but in the history of both their species. Sometimes the greatest healings came not from following the rules, but from having the courage to break them in service of something greater, the eternal evolution of love, understanding, and the connections that transcended all boundaries.